Hello, dear friends. This is Kardec Radio at 11 p.m. Nourishing our souls. Kardec Radio is here every day, live at 11 p.m. And we've been doing programs like this, live, discussing Spiritist books since 2016. And it has been a very beautiful experience, because through this we've made many friends and many people became ever more active in their undertakings in the good, right? We're studying the book God Awaits. In Portuguese, the book is titled Deus, Aguarda. It's been translated. We have the help also from Nora Brazil. Thank you very much, Nora. And this book is psychographed by the medium Chico Xavier, and the spirit is Meimei. For those who don't know, Meimei is this beautiful illuminated entity who was once named in her last reincarnation Irma de Castro Rocha. She was born in Itaúna, Minas Gerais in 1922, and she discarnated 24 years later in Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais. She got married to Arnaldo Rocha, who became friends with Chico Xavier, and Chico Xavier actually was the one who got to know first of Meimei, and then said to Arnaldo Rocha, you know, Meimei is here. And she had discarnated recently. It's a beautiful story, and the most beautiful part of it all is that Meimei is an illuminated spirit who is truly open-hearted, taking care of education on earth. She takes care of children, preparing them for the next steps, and she has written several books with spiritist teachings that we can share with children, and this one for adults as well. Okay? In this book, God Awaits, from chapter to chapter, I have a sensation that she is aiming at making us feel the good, making us feel God. More than any explanation, the way she writes, the way she come across, it's all about feeling. Are you ready for today? Because today chapter 10 is titled God is Love. Mamma mia, dear Miss Meimei, dear teacher, Professor Meimei, are we ready for this? Are you ready, friends? Because today is about the story. Okay? Ready, set, and go. She begins by saying, God is love, never condemn. And then she tells us a story. The assigned mentor of the accused, who was trying to instruct him on ways to regenerate himself for his immoral actions, found it very difficult to perform such task. It turns out the precinct of warnings had been invaded by an enormous crowd of displeased as spectators, ready with accusations, allegations. One person pointed fingers towards the wretched man, stirring up his criminal act that annihilated his family on earth. The other raised his arms with clenched fists, promising revenge for the evils he brought about to the victim. Another one demanded the worst possible sentence, and the other entities, including mad women, directed cruel phrases at him. Then the mentor cross-examined the defendant and asked if he remembered any good deeds he had done to others. Perhaps he assisted a forgotten child or supported a lonely widow. Did he ever approach a sick beggar to help reduce his needs? By any chance, did he rescue an abandoned dog or stood up for a cause? The unfortunate respondent revealed anguish and bitterness in his eyes, swallowing his own tears, and with a negative expression he confessed further, stabbing his mother to death in order to steal the last jewels hidden in a rack. With this, the mass of scorners shuffled and shouted. The mentor recommended order in the room, and as he was preparing to seek advice from the counselors of the higher planes, a noble woman, simple looking, but with a halo of light around her, penetrated the hall and in an assertive voice began to justify. Your Honor, let the truth that this man has given immense joy to a daughter of God. As we are all his children, he was the hope and dream, the happiness and the strength that nourished our life. Even then, the magistrate pondered, he will have to live a long, bitter period of hardships, imprisoned in a deformed body as his reincarnatory plan on earth. But she humbly clarified, I understand that justice must be served for all. Now, resting her hand on her heart, this woman will bless and accompany him wherever he goes. He will fight for him, she'll fight for him and weep for pain and joy until the beauty with which God created him shines on his face by his blessed light. The judge, surprised, turned around and asked her, Madam, who are you that defends a criminal like this? The lady did not decline her position, but instead walked towards the defendant, hugged and kissed his face, as the others disapproved with repulsion. With her head held up high, she looked at the startled audience, but proclaimed with tenderness, I declare before God that he is my son. Wow. True sense of motherhood, right? So let us discuss a little bit this motherhood. I'm going to ask you kindly, if everyone listening can participate, we would appreciate. If a father turns to a mother and says, you created a child who is dependent on you, what would you say? What would you feel to such accusation? Think about it. Reply to it. I will explain further why I'm saying this. In the Spiritist literature, since the law of reproduction, we've come to know that we as spirits, we're not male or female, men or women. But when we reincarnate or incarnate and reincarnate, we need the body of a man and a woman. Why? To exercise different roles and expand different features of the human mind. the feminine, the masculine. Right? But as Mentor Joseph was saying, he says in the Spiritist literature you find how much since Jesus, then Emmanuel, Humberto de Campos, Leon Denis, and many others, they talk about the sacredness of being in the body of a woman. Sacred. It is sacred. It is also sacred to be in the body of man. But women are supposed to give birth, to be co-creators of God to the ultimate level, gestating and giving birth. On earth, nowadays, many people are fighting for equal pay. But Mentor Joseph says, in a truly evolved planet, women earn more than men, they are valued more, and they are also given more support because of their special role as being the one who gestates and gives birth to children. You see how far we are on earth, because majority of people on earth still value the masculine. The feminine is still seen as fragile, as something that is not very strong. But what about the strength of gestating a life and giving birth? And that strength is inside all of us, right? As Carol Correa is saying, women are direct co-creators with God. So this case of this spirit of a criminal who did so many bad things, when he's being evaluated to reincarnate, everybody is willing that he goes back in the worst shape. And then comes one woman, his mother in the previous life, who is volunteering to continue being the tutor, the mother of this spirit. So let's say this spirit reincarnates, deformed, and is totally dependent on the mother. I've seen many cases of children who are born disabled. Several cases we've helped when we were at the Spirit Side of Baltimore, especially there. And I remember all the women telling us how hard it was for the parents, the fathers, and how many of them abandoned them because they couldn't handle it. Rarely it is the reverse. In majority of cases, women stand alone, caring for their children, and the fathers leave. Are you gonna accuse this mother of super protecting this child? Overprotecting, caring? Only God knows. So our dear Meimei is saying, never condemn. How are we going to turn it all around? As she says here, she says, she will bless and accompany him wherever he goes. She will fight for him and weep for pain and joy until the beauty with which God created him shines on his face by the blessed light. She has a commitment of the heart, but Meimei says that the love that stimulates this mother comes from God, because God is love. The love that animates that soul is the love of God. So when we love dearly someone, it's God's love. It's God's love. Karina Alice is sharing with us, in my internship at an association in Brazil that takes care of the impaired, right, the disabled, many mothers have to do it all alone as the fathers leave them and the child. I agree with you. It's the same cases here in the United States. Same majority of them leave and the mother has to take care of them. And then comes a father that may say, you created a dependent child. But this father didn't want to take charge, didn't want to sacrifice in the middle of the night, right? Didn't want to do it. So the mother had no choice. The point of loving is not to create dependency, but to love. God is love. God is love. So what is the exercise for us in the next 24 hours? Why is Meimei telling us this? She's saying mothers need to revisit their role. Don't expect the fathers to be alike, my friends, because in this life you are supposed to give more. Even if they want to do their share, your share is not the same. It is sacrificial, but the love that comes for you, to you, through you, is not yours. As Carol is saying, mothers are vessels of God's love. But the problem, Carol, is that many mothers nowadays, they don't want to be that vessel anymore. They put their children in the world and they run back to work and they say, very proud of themselves, I share the tasks at home 50-50 with my husband. Do you think when they discarnate and they go to the spiritual realm, they are going to ask, they're going to say, good job, 50-50. You can't do 50-50 because you're a woman. You're supposed to do more. We're not talking about abuse, but we're talking about the value of being a woman. All the spirits in the spiritist literature say that when you are reincarnated in the body of a woman, the chances of progressing faster is much higher. If and only if we observe what we need to do. But if at the end of the day, people want to be like men and do what they do, then we have to reincarnate 10,000 times as a woman to learn. I know, you may say, Vanessa, but we want equal pay. I agree. I think we should fight for even more. Not only equal pay, but higher salaries. Because we have roles that men don't. Plus, when you gestate, you need an extra support. When you are breastfeeding, you need an extra support. Not only physical. I don't need a room to pump my breast, to collect milk so I can give it to my child. I need much more than that. The value and the respect that maybe I'll be sleep deprived and I'll do the same job and even better in spite of sleep deprivation, in spite of everything. We need more salary, greater understanding, and greater respect. And if women decide to stay home and take care of their children, we also need to change the status quo of our society, because it's the hardest job ever and undervalued. And how many women are being abused on the behind the scenes, suffering the despotism of husbands who say, I pay, I rule. Right? Right? I pay, I rule. My friends, I'm so sorry. I understand how many of my friends end up going back to work and not taking care of their children, because it's not easy to be subjected to the power of money and the power of men telling you how much you can spend, etc. It really takes a real man to respect and not humiliate you because you are depending on him temporarily. It's a difficult decision. But when it comes to the spiritual realm, we make the commitment. You made the commitment. We all made the commitment. And what are we going to do? Come here and turn our back to that commitment? No. So it is in all of us to change our mindset and open our hearts to love. Because when we love, it's God's love through us. If I decide not to love, if I decide to withhold love, people will suffer. They will suffer. Go to the book And Life Goes On. Ernest, he's in the spiritual realm. His daughter, who is an adult already, stays in the physical realm. He goes back to visit and he knows he was a failure as a father. He thought he was a good father for the times, but he failed. Why? He didn't listen to her. He didn't talk to her, didn't respect her mother, right? Yes, he was not truly faithful. He kept his eyes onto another woman who was married. Unfortunately, this happens to date. The book And Life Goes On is a living proof that there are many people who think that in the eyes of the world they are complying with the rules, but when you go to the spiritual realm, the inner conscience tells us otherwise. Right, Raquel Bakeshi? She's saying true men will support their wives with love and kindness, exactly, not with tyranny, right? Despotism, right? Exactly, Rudy. Thank you for your kindness, women power. But we're talking about this equality, but valuing, my friends, right? Validating, as Carol's saying. Validating. And it's so hard, but we need to do it. Carol's saying we're all responsible for the good we do not do. Yes? And how we make people suffer for humiliating them because they're dependent on us. What is the right way? The right way is to make the person feel like it's an agreement between the family, right? You don't voluntarily say, oh, I'm going to stop working and it's on you. It's an agreement. But we need to make it fair for the person who is dependent in a certain way. But the dependency is both ways in reality. Only when we are materialistic, we value money more and the efforts of people less. It shows to us selfishness, pride, materialism. That subjugation is going to come with a price. But when we decide to surrender ourselves in this love of God, that should come through both parents, in all of the stories, you are always going to find a mother. In all of the books, all of them. Your any mediumistic meetings, if you go to a mediumistic meeting, you can tell that when we have obsessors, who comes to their rescue? Usually a mother. A mother. I don't recall ever seeing a father coming along. I'm sorry to say this. In all these, since I was a child, and all the reports that I read, rarely, if ever, it's always a mother. So today, it's all about motherhood. Let us create a revolution, the revolution of the heart, my friends. Shall we? Yes. And you know, Daisy saying, thank you for addressing such an important topic, which is important not taught or talked about in our society. Yes, but we need to talk about it. And it's so hard because we are ashamed to talk about it. Of course we are. We don't want people to know the struggles that we go through. But that's the reality. When you have to give up a career, when you have to give up your freedom, your personal space to gestate a life, you are redeeming yourself of past things through that loving action. But it doesn't end up when birth happens. It goes on. And we need this true partnership with those who are with us, the partners, to succeed without much stress. But that's not what we see nowadays. But at the end of the day, who is going to come to the rescue? Usually women. If you participate in mediumistic meetings or have participated, you know what we're talking about. It's majority of the cases. And Karina says, and usually a mother that shines like the sun. Exactly. Precisely. It's unbelievable. Love is so powerful. Like Karina is saying, and like they're describing here, Meimei is describing here, saying, a noble woman, simple looking, but with a halo of light around her, penetrated the hall and in an assertive voice began to justify. And as she humbly clarified, she hugged the man, kissed his face, and held her head up high and proclaimed with tenderness, he is my son. For those who are mothers, in the next 24 hours, let us revisit our role, our love, and ask ourselves if we're giving our best. For those who are not mothers, let us send gratitude to mothers. And for those who are not, who want to think even more broadly, let us emit prayers to all mothers of the world in the difficult and challenging role in their mission of being mothers. The discarnate mothers too, Carol, thank you. Let us pray for all mothers who may be facing a hard time raising their kids, bringing them up in the midst of hardships and challenges, plus the mothers of the beyond that are still in need of support for their causes, the cause of love. This is God's love, says Meimei. This is God's love. And it reassures us that it's worthwhile expanding it. Right? So let us say hello, May Schickler, How are you? Thank you for being here. Hello, Nora Brasil. How are you? Raquel Bakeshi, Valéria Benfica, Lisa Telly, Sunshine, Karina Alice, Justina Martiri, Tereza Castro, Carol Correia, Sol Souza, Ana Fleury, Rudy. Thank you, Rudy. Daisy, Sunshine. So friends, today we're gonna finalize with a prayer. A prayer of all mothers, visualizing the mother of all mothers, Mother Mary, in her blanket. Right? It reminds me, I wish I had this song in English. Roberto Carlos. Cubra-me com seu manto de amor. Right? Asking Mother Mary to protect us with her blanket of love. Let us feel ourselves now in this prayer covered by Mother Mary's blanket of love and thank her, dear Mother of all mothers on earth. Thank you for bringing Jesus to us. And thank you for giving us strength in moments of wounded hearts. When we face the challenges of our lives, we pray to you, so you give strength to mothers of the world, especially the mothers of refugees, the mothers of those who are in prison, the mothers of those who are in the hospitals, or those who are deep in drug addictions of all sorts, or in psychiatric wards. Oh, Mother Mary, we can already hear you saying to everyone, all of us, this shall pass, and we believe in you. We believe that every suffering has an end, and we hope that you give everyone strength to keep on going, never quitting, instead creating a quilt of love in every action, every thought, every feeling, every word. Bless each and every child, especially those who temporarily don't have a mother. May they find your maternal hands holding them in their arms, so they feel loved, less abandoned. And to all of our mothers, deep gratitude today and always, and so be it. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, dear May, Schickler, and friends. Tomorrow when we come back, Meimei is gonna keep cracking our hearts, opening, so we feel the good in the good news that Jesus has given us. And this is Kardec Radio, nourishing our souls one more day. May we live a day filled with gratitude, with God's love in our hearts. Thank you, friends. A big hug. Until tomorrow, God willing.